Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
With me, and as a result, you're here tonight. So thank you for taking some of the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us here in Southern California.
For sure. I appreciate the invitation for sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have an inspirational story for the ages, sister. I was up late last night going through all kinds of articles and interviews, and I just couldn't get enough. And
wow.
It's just quite amazing, and I've been texting people all day saying, if you don't make none of my shows, this is the one that you've got to make. Yours is a story for the ages. You, of course, were once upon a time homeless, and now you are selling homes and just doing an amazing thing. So tell us a little bit about who Constance Carter is.
Well, let's see. I'm from San Jose, California.
Okay.
Born, my mother and father, my parents were teenage parents, when they started having kids with my oldest brother. So by the time they had me, they'd moved out here from Arkansas, and my parents were really great in that everybody who wanted to move to California that was migrating from Arkansas, they all lived with us. So we ended up having, 19 people living in a 3-bedroom home for a family of 5. So as you can imagine, it was extremely, probably for me, it was more exciting. It was fun. For my sister, she hated it. We had totally different experiences. When we look back, I was having fun and we were playing hide and go seek with all my cousins, but my sister was in pure hell. But that was sort of the childhood. And I just always was, there was a lot of love in my family, but there was also just a lot of toxicity and exposure to a lot of things. But I was really fortunate when I was 7, because my auntie was my Sunday school teacher, and this was a really pivotal moment for me, because I remember when I was 7 years old in Sunday school, she said to me, "You are what did she say? She said, you could do anything you want to because God loves you the same that He loves everybody else. So you're no more important than anyone, but you're no less important than anybody." And then I just remember looking up to her and saying, "Even the President of the United States?" And she said, "Even the President of the United States." And so from the time I was 7, even though all this stuff was going on inside our house and all the things you just deal with as being, young and black and in a predominantly white, predominantly Hispanic, predominantly Asian, being probably one of 2 black kids in my school, and all of those things that you deal with, I always knew that I deserved what everybody else had because I was equally as important. And my aunt instilled that in me when I was like 7 years old. So I kind of lived my life in that way. And so even though, we had obstacles and all those things that came, I just kind of knew that I was always destined for something, simply by virtue of being a child of God. That was it. Not because I was smarter, not because I had more, not because of anything, but just because God loved me like He loved everybody else. So if they could have it, why can't I? That was kind of it.
Wonderful story. And of course, Constance, you talked about, and I think I saw this on your TEDx talk where you talked about the white doll and the black doll, that you were initially given a black doll, but you didn't want the black doll. Tell us why.
Well, when I was I was about 4 years old. I don't know if you remember that it was an experiment, but it was a real life happened to me. When I was about 4, I wanted this Baby Alive doll. And I remember seeing it on
Baby Alive.
You remember Baby Alive? Used to feed it, used to pee and all that stuff. And so I remember asking my mom for a long time. In my 4-year-old mind, I thought it was months, and I kept asking her, and finally she broke down and got it for me. And when she got it, she was excited about giving it to me. And when I opened up the box, it wasn't what I seen on TV. It was a black doll. And so when I saw it, I was like, thing is ugly. This ain't what I saw on TV. And it was, at that point, it was like a reflection of me, because I just, I felt, I don't know, it was like, I don't know if it was something that I seen on TV or something that I learned, but I just felt that the black doll wasn't as good as the white doll, and I felt like, I wasn't as important as, white kids until a few years later, my aunt told me that I was. But, coming from that environment, and not that my parents told me that I wasn't, but it was just, by virtue of probably what I saw on TV, I just didn't think that there was any value. And so, that was sort of what happened there. But what I learned is I'm just as good as anyone else. So.
That's wonderful. And thank God for your aunt, because that's what we all need, is someone who's going to speak life into us. Everybody has different experiences, and even those who didn't have a great childhood, a lot of times, unfortunately, those issues are perpetuated down through history. But thank God for those who perhaps may not have had a good childhood, but they know that chances are that you have an opportunity that they didn't have, and you'll be able to continue to manifest. And that's what you've done. You were 14 years old when your mother left your family, left you and your father there. 18 years old, your daddy kicked you out of the house.
Yeah.
What happened after that? I understand that you were homeless for a while.
I was, yeah. Wow, you've done your research.
I told you, sister, I was up
You
until
went
about
all the way
2:30
back to
this
the
morning.
archives. Yes, yeah. When I was 14, my mom left the family. And when she was gone. She was like, my kids are grown. And, but I wasn't. Everybody else was gone except for me. And I just remember, my daughter being 14. My daughter's 23 now. But just remembering when she was 14 and how I would pour into her and how much she needed me at 14. And I think back to that time, that was a time, like a really pivotal time when I really needed my mother. And she was out. She was gone. And, it was just me and my dad. And my dad had always been, my mom was always kind of a free spirit. My parents used to always break up and get back together, break up and get back together when, up until I was about 5 years old. So my dad was always very constant. He was my superhero. He was like everything. My dad used to tell me I was going to be the president of the United States. And I believed him. And so my dad, he was my hero. And he ended up getting married when I was 18. And he married this lady who didn't want me in the house.
And I understand that was your friend's mother?
That was my friend's mother, yeah. She used to come over all the time, and then her mom started coming over all the time, and they kind of hooked up. And they got married. They ended up getting married maybe about 6 months after meeting. And her daughters moved in, and it was just no more room for me. So, he told me I had to go. And, yeah, after that, I ended up, living from pillar to post, sleeping in cars and sleeping on people's couches and things like that. And, until I ended up getting, my own place and just went from there. So I got, at an early age, I got really good jobs at, different companies and things like that. I didn't have an opportunity to go to college, but I was always very serious about investing in my education, just by other means. So I was fortunate to have, really good jobs at 18, 19, at like HP.
Yeah, at 18 years old, you were working as an IT for Hewlett Packard. That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah. I got hired on initially as like a college, quote unquote, college student. I was at a community college briefly, and so I got hired on like at that, and I just kind of worked my way up. But yeah, I was really just fortunate and made sure I took advantage of all of the education that they offered while I was there, and worked there, and then worked at Cisco Systems, and until I got into real estate, and that kind of really changed my life at that point.
And of course, at 23 years old, you and your husband bought your first home, I understand. What was that experience like for you? Because I was 22 when I bought my first one, 26 when I bought the second one, and 38 when I bought the third one. So I've been a homeowner 3 times. And this is, you're talking about coming from the projects of New Orleans and also from living in a trailer. So 5 years after basically living in a trailer, joining the military, next thing you know, I'm buying a brand spanking new home. And I did that twice. So I don't know where that came from, but I thank God that it came and that I thought that I deserved better. But you, at 23 years old, was a homeowner with your husband, 1 child. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was absolutely horrific experience, but it also propelled me. And, that's kind of how things happen, right? So, your experiences propel you to do other things. But buying our first home, our agent just did not look out for our best interest. And so I looked at that situation as an opportunity for me to do something and do it better for other people. But yeah, we would come, we ended up buying a home in Stockton, which was about an hour and a half from San Jose, so that, with the commute, it was like 2 hours each way that I was going every day. But having that experience with the agent, she would show up. We'd come all the way up from San Jose to come see a house, and she'd show up, an hour or two later to show us property, and then, it just didn't take care of us the way we should have been taken care of, and we lost money and on making different offers. But when I got into the business, a few years later, I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. So I didn't want people to have the same experience that I had. Mm-hmm. And so that's what kind of really motivated me. Those experiences that you have, they really can motivate you to make a difference in your own life. So it was a horrific experience, but I think it was definitely a teacher that allowed me to get in it and do it from a place of service, because I know what it felt like to be on that end, and just wanted to make sure that no one had the same experiences that I had.
What a story. Once again, for those of you just joining us, I'm Eric J. Chambers. This is the Cut Chronicles, where we chronicle urban life on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, Loma Linda, California. We are an NBC affiliate. My guest is Constance Carter. She is the owner of the Catalyst Real Estate Professionals, the largest African-American-owned real estate firm in the Golden State of California. Right now, things are going good for you, but life hasn't always been a gravy train with biscuit wheels. I understand that even though you were making $250,000 a year, you had to file bankruptcy. Why?
I did. So getting my real estate license was awesome. Like, I did really well. And again, that goes back to investing in myself, right? That goes back to taking training and doing all the things and just, just going all in. And thinking, because I was doing that commute, I was going back and forth. I was working at HP and Cisco, and I was driving that 2-hour commute, that I was so motivated when I got my real estate license that this absolutely had to happen. I had to be successful in this, because if I had to get in that commute again, I was going to die. I mean, it was that serious for me.
Okay.
So
that was no joke, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of like, I guess, like the LA traffic here.
Yes. So I got into real estate, and I did really, really well. I mean, the first year I made like $70,000, and then I never made under six figures like the year after that. So I was doing really well. I was about 26 when I got my real estate license, and I was doing really good. The more money I made, though, the more money I spent, and so I ended up having.
So you were living
money
large off of that money, huh?
Oh my God, yeah, we were. But we were also making investments, and we were also, we bought several properties, and. We just, some of it was frivolous and some of it was, the market and us trying to do different things. It was during the dot-com bubble. Not the dot-com bubble, it was the real estate bubble that happened. And so we got stuck with a couple of properties and all that. So, but, some of our properties ended up, we had those loans that the interest, the interest adjusted. So, our payments tripled, and it was just so much going out. The more money I made, it was like, okay, here's something else I get. Oh, another $300 a month. Oh, another $500 a month. Oh, I could do it. And so I ended up, my outgoing expenses were $15,000 to $20,000 a month. And I'm still an agent before I'm a broker. And I'm 32 or 33 at this point. And I can't even buy my kids a day pass to the county fair.
Wow. Right.
My husband was like, we couldn't even pay our utility bills. He was like standing in line, where they have the nonprofits to pay your bills. Like we had so much going out, we couldn't even take care of our basic necessities.
I understand it was at times between $15,000 and $20,000 a month in bills.
Yeah, $15,000 to $20,000 a month in bills. Yeah.
Wow.
And so we ended up filing bankruptcy. I ended up filing bankruptcy, and it was one of the worst, both the worst and the best, most exhilarating experience of my life. Because, when I walked into that bankruptcy court, it was like the sky was gloomy and the clouds were gray, and I was just like stressed out. But when I walked out of there and they said everything was good to go, that sun had opened up. I mean, literally, I could see that. Like I was almost floating to my car. I was so excited because it was my opportunity to start over, and I just. From that point on, I was like, I'll never get myself in a situation again.
I know that's right. My mother had this saying when I was growing up in Louisiana where she said, bought cents are the best cents. So you
I'm trying to
bought you
tell you.
some.
I'm trying to tell you.
So
Yes.
you bought you some sense by living frivolously, but since then, you have been able. The bankruptcy, your credit score went from 800 down to 379. Man, that was a colossal
379.
drop.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many that was, I haven't, and listen, I'm a certified credit expert, and I haven't seen too many that have hit as low as mine. I've
Okay.
seen a couple of them, but not too many. I've seen some 400s, I've seen some low credit scores, but yeah, mine, I hit rock credit bottom, and I had to figure out, how to get back up, and so within a year, I was like almost back up to almost 700. I was in the high sixes, and I just had to work my way back up, but I learned my lesson. I learned a lot, and I started helping myself, and then that's when I started helping other people, and it just kind of opened up from there. But the thing about it is, everything that I've always done in my life has always been about serving others. So even when I was in IT, like in order for me to justify doing that 2-hour commute every day, I had to, like, in my mind, figure out what is my purpose in this. And if I was helping people, I was like, okay, I'm helping fix these people's network or helping fix these people's computer. So for me, that helped me justify being able to go to work every day. But I was really able to find my purpose in real estate because I was really able to just sit on the front row and watch people transform their lives. And people who never thought that they could own a home, like my brother. My brother never. Most people in my family, they never thought that they could own homes, and now they have multiple properties. And so, just sitting there
That's
and seeing,
awesome.
people's lives change because of this one thing around, generational wealth. It's transformative, not only for them but for me. Just being able to see it, and it's so fulfilling. So, it's been my passion for 20 years now, and it's one of the most exhilarating feelings that you could have is when you're able to help somebody else. So it's been awesome.
And Constance, according to the statistics, about 80% of the wealth that is generated in America, in the world basically, is through real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about
Absolutely.
4 things to invest in to close the wealth gap. Let's go over them quickly. One of them is invest in real estate. Number 2, the stock market. Number 3, ourselves. And number 4, invest in our children. Let's expound on those, beginning with investing in real estate and why it's important to do that. I know why, but there's a lot of people who are renting, and I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard it also, where people say, oh, I'd rather rent because I don't want to have to deal with maintenance. But the thing about it is, while you're paying rent for 20 years, you've lost out on 200,000 or 300,000, especially here in Southern California, or in California in particular, that much of equity. I'm a firm believer. I was a military veteran in the Navy. I used my VA each time, and I still have it to use it again. And prayerfully, I'll be using it again real soon here. But tell us about the importance of investing in real estate.
Oh my God, there's so many benefits to investing in real estate. I mean, like you just said, 80% of wealth in this country is generated through real estate. 90% of wealth in this country is passed intergenerationally. So the wealthy people are passing their wealth to each other. And unfortunately for us as African Americans, we were shut out of the real estate market a lot because of redlining, predatory lending, and all of the discriminatory practices that America just did against us. And so I look at that as an opportunity because so many of us, I'm thinking, there are so many people that need help. I always have work because there's so many people that need help. There's so many people that that just don't know, that need the education, that I'll never not have business because so many of us need help because of what happened in this country systematically with how we were done. And the great thing about it, this is why I think we're so resilient, is because in spite of all of the things that have happened to us, 43% of us are still homeowners.
That's right.
And when you look at that compared to our white counterparts, right, 70% of white people are homeowners. 43% of us, okay, well, that's almost half, but they did not face any of the things that we face. So in spite of all the things that we face, yet and still 43% of us are homeowners. But yet we have so far to go, and that was the premise behind my TED Talk, was because Forbes did an article in 2017 that said by the year 2053, Black median wealth was going to be 0. And not far behind that, Hispanic median wealth was going to be a 0. And with that being said, it's like, okay, well, why is that? Well, a lot of people say it's because, Black people, we like to wear our wealth. Black people, we like to spend our money. We like to wear more expensive things. And while that might be the case in some cases, it was more about what happened to us systematically in this country. And so my thing is, I just want to help. I just want to just show access and give access to people. So real estate being the quickest way you could build wealth, the best way you could build wealth. And there's so many ways. Just like you said with your VA loan, I've helped clients get 4 units on a VA loan. You can get, if you are a veteran, check this out. If you're a veteran, you can get into a multi-unit. So one of my clients, this was about 3 or 4 years ago, he bought a property in Fresno. He paid $300,000 for it. His payment was $1,800. Each of the units, he was getting $1,000 for them each,
wow.
right? So
you see,
he had to live in one.
I just got educated because I didn't know that we as veterans can buy investment property. I thought it had to be owner-occupied.
Well, it does have to be owner-occupied, but you could live in one of the units.
Okay,
and that's what
so
I'm
you
saying.
live in one, rent out the other 3.
Correct. So he had 4 units. He lived in one. He rented out the other 3. He was getting, and this was they were below market at the time. So he has 3 units where he's getting $1,000 a piece. He's living in one. So his mortgage is $1,800. He's getting $3,000 a month. He didn't have to come in with any money down. He didn't have to even pay for the appraisal, and he's cash flowing $3,000. So he's cash flowing at $1,800 or $1,200 a month cash flow. Wow. Then so he lives there for a year. He moves out. He puts a tenant in there. He raises the rent, but let's just say he keeps all of them at $1,000 a piece. Now that's $4,000. His mortgage payment is $1,800, and now what is his cash flow? It's $2,200, and he had to come in with no money down, and he's able to take advantage of the equity.
Outstanding.
Things like that, right? Those are investment opportunities that you have, and so if you have a VA loan or you're a veteran, you could take advantage of things like that. Come in with absolutely no money down, and be able to get something like that.
Well,
and with VA loans, you have low interest rates. You don't have any PMI. Yep. So there's so many opportunities there. So you have that. I have other clients where, I have a young single mom. She bought her first condo. Within a year, she took the equity from that condo. She purchased a duplex. Within six months, she purchased a triplex. Then she took the equity from that one and she purchased a fourplex. So now she has 10 doors within a matter of 3 years from one property that she ended up getting. And she took money, I think, out of her 401k. So the only thing that she had to really come out of pocket was for the first property, which was only 3.5% down for an FHA loan.
Well, that's awesome. Just a couple more quick before we take our first break here. The stock market. I understand that you gave your son $1,000. Tell me that story about you asked your kids about who wanted to do this or that, and it was one of your sons who decided he would take you up on the offer.
Yeah, I love it. So when my son is now 18, but I had bought the Dr. Boyce Watkins stock program for kids, and so I bought it for all 4 of my kids. And so he was 12. One of my other son was 10, and my other son was 8, and my daughter was 16 or 17 at the time. And so I asked all of them. I told them, hey, if you take this, I'm gonna give you $1,000, and for you to invest. And so the only one who did it was my oldest son, Warren. Mm-hmm. He was 12 years old. He took that $1,000. He went through the program and learned all about stock, and he took that $1,000, and he ended up making $8,000 in about 2 years. Now, fast forward to 2000, I said, Warren, I have $7,000 in my Robinhood account. Yeah, 2020, $7,000. He took that $7,000 in 3 months. He made $40,000.
Wow!
And then he started a group for stock tips and tricks, and he had like 200 people in his group where he was teaching people, different stock tips and tricks. So that one program from Dr. Boyce Watkins, my son took that, and now he's a freshman at Hampton University, and he's a great kid. All my kids are really great, but yeah,
awesome.
That was
and the other 2 things you mentioned was you mentioned to invest in ourselves. You said be more vigilant about opening your own business, and you said that COVID taught us that we need to have multiple streams of income. And also you reminded us that we should not wait for perfection. And as I tell people all the time, stop waiting for the perfect time and make the time perfect. And then the other, you said to invest in our children. And that's an important thing as well. And I love all four of those suggestions.
Thank you.
Okay. Once again, everybody, I'm Eric J. Chambers speaking with the incredible realtor, Constance Carter. It's time for us to take our first station break. When we come back, we're going to dig into a little bit more about some of the things that she's doing. And also, I'm going to mention one of her favorite books. Again, family, she went from bankruptcy to owning a phenomenal real estate in a matter of 10 years. I'm Eric J. Back in a moment.
I grew up hearing that women are bad with money. But like many of you, I spent years paying bills, managing checking accounts, and taking care of my family. So turns out women are pretty good with money after all. And now I'm taking control of my financial future by saving for retirement. It's never too late to start, and there's a great website to help you. Check out WeSaySaveIt.org and jumpstart your retirement savings on your budget and your timeline. That's WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Have you considered interviewing a parent or grandparent to preserve their history but don't know where to start or what questions to ask? If so, help has finally come. Dr. Eric J. Chambers presents Mama, I Want to Know You and Daddy, I Want to Know You, two books that will prompt you with over 200 questions that will help you record those sacred stories for the ages. Questions like, who were your grandparents? What were their occupations? Where were they born? Describe your favorite childhood memories. What are your fondest memories at Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and more? What was the proudest day of your life? How do you want to be remembered? What are your favorite scriptures, colors, and food? These books will help you write your family's history. Do it before dementia or time robs you of this opportunity. Order your copies today at whodatpublishinghouse.com. That's WHODAT publishinghouse.com.
Hi, I'm Beyonce. I'm Kelly. Hello, I'm Michelle. And we're Destiny's Child.
Hello there, darlings. It's your girl, Vivica A. Fox here. And you are tuned in to the Cut Chronicles. Enjoy.
Once again, everybody, Eric J. Chambers, The Cut Chronicles is on the air on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, Loma Linda, California. Again, our guest tonight is Constance Carter. Nobody works harder than you, Constance Carter, as your moniker says. And I understand once upon a time you had a Ford Windstar because you talked about when you get into this business, because a lot of people unfortunately think that everything is going to be laid out. But in your case, you were driving around in a raggedy hoopty called a Ford Windstar. But sister, you were still getting your real estate business on, huh?
I'm trying to tell you. I have some stories, but I've looked like I've had to be embarrassed many times throughout my career, and I'm okay with that. I just do stuff, and I hope that things work out. I'm just not afraid to look like a fool. But yeah, I had a Ford Windstar minivan, and sometimes the door will fly open when I was driving around with clients. And there was one time when I had these clients that were moving in the area, and I had the wife in the front seat with me, and I had the husband in the back, and we're driving. We're going to look at houses, and I'm turning the corner, and I know the door used to fly open, but I was praying that it didn't fly open with these people up in there. And I turn the corner, I look in the rearview mirror, and I see the husband back there holding on to that door for dear life, trying to get it closed.
Like he was on an amusement ride, huh?
Yeah, buddy. And I was absolutely embarrassed and mortified and everything else. But, with that, I had, the only thing I could do was just overcompensate with my service. And I remember at the end of that transaction, they were so friendly and they were so nice. And they were just like, Constance, please don't ever change who you are. Please just always, we know you're new and we know you're hungry, but just don't change because you're so awesome. in the back of my mind, I was thinking, why would I change? Like, but now I understand, because when people get a little something, when they get a little money, they tend to be a little different. But I never let any of that define me. Number one, I filed bankruptcy. But the other thing is, money doesn't define who you are. Money is just a tool. Because if money defined me, who am I without it?
Absolutely.
And does that mean I'm any less valuable because I don't have it? No, because my auntie told me when I was 7 years old that I was equally as important as anybody. So whether I have it or not, I just got to be who I am. And that definitely taught me, just do the best you can. Don't be afraid to look like no fool. Don't be afraid to be embarrassed. Just go for it.
Well, it's all a
And
part of the
that's what I did.
process. Failure, as we both talked about, how failure is a part of the process. And you said that you have to be all in. You have to bet on yourself. That's what you did. You bet on your own gifts. You took risks. You sacrificed a lot. And that's what's important. And I love this
100%.
quote where you said there were times when my pillow called, but my dreams yelled louder because of the fact that you had to sacrifice so much. You're exhausted. You're tired. My pillow was calling me about 2:30 this morning doing research on you.
Oh,
But
my God.
my
Yeah, you
dreams,
are awesome.
yeah, but the excitement of this, I'm telling you, man, I went to bed with this on my mind, and I also
wow.
woke up with it on my mind because I think that you are a dynamic story, and that's what I love about being able to do my show. You're not going to hear any kind of craziness on it. My show is to edify God and his people and to be able to to magnify and give attention to people like yourself who are doing an amazing thing for just people in general. And I just wanted to be able to share that with the people. I understand one of your favorite books is entitled The Secrets from the Millionaire's Mind by T. Harv Eker.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
And there's something that he said. He said, what you hear, you forget. What you see, you remember. But what you do, you understand. How did that book play such a powerful impact in your life? And then also one other quick quote that I love what he said. He said, rich people focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on obstacles. So you, instead of the obstacle of the raggedy Ford Windstar, you were looking at the opportunities. Tell me how that book impacted your life.
Always. T. Harv, the reason why I love that book is because he just has so many great quotes and analogies in there. And one of the things that he says in there, one of my favorite quotes is he says, in life, if you are willing to do what's hard, life will be easy. But if you're willing to do what's easy, life will be hard. And,
wow, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah. And that's why, my motto was nobody works harder than Constance Carter. Now, as I'm 47, I don't want to work hard anymore. I want to work smart. But I've done a lot. I put in a lot of work, and I've just paid a lot of dues, and I've paved the way for a lot of people. And so, I've done the hard part. And so now I've been reaping the rewards for a long time. But, I'm really able to reap the rewards as my kids are older, and I'm able to just do more for them and just be more present. Because in this journey, there's just a lot of things that you got to do, and you don't always have the perfect balance. And that's an evolutionary process. My friend Lisa Nichols says, balance is a myth, but harmony is a must. And so I always focus on having a harmonious relationship in the household and making sure that when I'm home, I'm extremely present with my kids and I'm here. I may not have the quantity of time, when they were younger, but I certainly always thought about giving them and always gave them the quality of time.
And I understand you take at least 5 to 10 vacations a year, so they get their dose of mommy there, huh?
Yeah. No, I mean we haven't done that. I'll tell you this. I'm recently divorced, and I got divorced last year, and so those are vacations that we were taking often. We don't take them as often, but what's different now is I'm here when they get home from school. I'm here when they go to school. Like, I'm here. And so that's kind of the difference. But yeah, we definitely, just as you transition in life, you make adjustments, and they're okay, they're healthy, and they're good, and
I've been down that old dusty road of divorce before on a couple of occasions, but nevertheless, and then also I like the fact that you spend quality time with them at the dinner table. In your upbringing with your parents, understand you didn't have that, and but it is of utmost importance. And when I was married, I loved being able to sit at the table with my wife and my daughter, and would turn off the television, because I remember something that my late pastor, Bishop George Dallas McKinney Jr. out of St. Stephen's Cathedral Church of God in Christ in San Diego said in a sermon. He said the men are to be 3 Ps, the priest, the provider, and the protector. And he also went on and said that what you should do is spend quality time at the dinner table, turn off the television. Nowadays, everybody's sitting at the table looking down at their devices, their phones. And even when me and my daughter go out for dinner and stuff of that nature, I tell her, because a lot of times she just wants to do the drive-through, but I said, Erica, this is about the fellowship. It's not even about the food, but it's about the fellowship, sitting across from my daughter, being able to talk to her about her day, talk to her about, she's going to be a senior at USC in another week here. Nice. These are the finals weeks right now, I believe. Wow. But nevertheless, the phone number, if anyone would like to call up and you have a comment or you'd like to ask a question of this phenomenal artist that this phenomenal lady that we have here, Constance Carter, the number is 909-792-5222, 909-792-5222. It's not every day that you get a chance to speak to someone like this. And again, I invited all kinds of realtors and people who I thought would be interested in not only hearing your story, but being inspired by your story, because like I said, I'm inspired by it. I've had an illustrious career already, but reading and observing and researching your story last night, man, made me hungry all over again.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you for saying that. That means the world. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. In fact, I hope that next time you're here in Southern California, we can do something, because
sure, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
What I'm planning to do is kind of like a black version of TED Talk. I have a website called Speakers of the House. And those of you listening, if you want to go there now, you can, speakersofthehouse.com. And I've worked with people like, you'll see Don Lewis and Fred Hammond and Howard Hewitt, some of the people that I've worked with on there. Nice. And but the vision when I created that about 4 years ago was to be able to do an alternative to TED Talk. And so prayerfully, the next time you're here in Southern California, we'll yoke up and do something and have a meet and greet for you, because you are also an author of a couple of books.
Yeah, I am.
Tell us about those.
So let me just tell you, I am not the big ideation person, and this is what I want people to know. And I often talk to people about operating in their gifts and their strengths. And my strength is not ideation. My strength is not being creative or, thinking outside the box. My gift, my strength is execution. So everything that I've done, mostly everything that I've done up until this point has been on the advisement of somebody else. Somebody was like, you should write a book. And I was like, okay. Never in my life did I think I was going to be an author. Never in my life did I think I was going to do a lot of the stuff that I did.
A best-selling author at that.
Yeah. And so I sat down, wrote a book, and, credit was my passion at the time, because I had been through what I had been through, and I learned what I learned, and just kind of going through that. But I just basically use and the other book being The Secret to Breaking the Broke Code. But I just basically use the things that I've gone through. I believe your hardships should be the blueprint, not only for yourself but helping other people, and that's what I've essentially done in those books and in my life. The things that I'm doing right now, they are really around helping people to avoid a lot of the things that I've been through. Sometimes you got to go through those obstacles yourself, or you're going to go through a set of obstacles, but I don't want you to go through the same things I went through. And so I just want to help people to be able to avoid those pitfalls. And that's what those things are about. So,
well, it's beautiful that, as you say, that you, in the book, I believe, where you talk about the fact that you're creating blueprints for others, there is a reason why you had to go through what you went through in order to get 100%. To. And I thank God, sister, that you survived your wilderness, and you're now able to tell the story from the mountaintop, so that the rest of us, as we are heading up there, we'll be able to know where the pitfalls are and what to avoid. Just like, again, overspending. That was a situation A lot of times when people who have not had money, what they do is, like you said, we wear the bling and get the fancy things, and before you know it, and we see athletes and entertainers do it all the time, because it's not everyday people who come into that kind of money, but we've seen history is littered with stories of people who've made $120 million playing professional sports only to find themselves broke.
Yeah, and I think that peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows are an inevitable part of life. And so even though, the financial thing, that was a valley for me, the divorce last year was also a valley. And so one of the things that I can say from that was a totally different experience. However, what the financial piece that I had gone through before, where I wasn't able to invest when there were opportunities, and I made some really bad choices. Well, when I went through the divorce and I took a hit financially, because I did take a hit. When you go through a divorce, you're going to take a hit, especially when you got these lawyers and everything involved. I didn't suffer because of the investments that I made and the things that I did and the provisions that I made before that from the lessons that I learned. Now, there's a whole different set of valleys that you go through when you go through a divorce that I'm able to stand on and help other people with as well. But it wasn't that financial piece that I had gone through earlier on in life.
As far as the divorce is concerned, without getting too personal, here you go from being homeless to now becoming a multimillionaire. Did that play a part in it? Because, there are some guys who can't stand the fact that their wife is much more prosperous than they are. I've never had an issue with it, because I was always, very comfortable with not only who I am, but whose I am. But you have some guys who are not.
Yeah, I think, you just kind of, well, first of all, when you get with somebody at 15 and then you get married at like 21, 22, you kind of, you grow and you evolve and you change and, over life. And if you're not careful, and I think that was our mistake, we just were not careful in that. We kept God first in our relationship. We did all the things that we need to do to kind of maintain it. It can happen. And it happens to the best of us, and that's sort of what happened. It's just like we lost sight of, I think, what we held sacred in the beginning, and it kind of, you just kind of drift apart in that way.
Absolutely. Like I said, I've been down that old dusty road before, and it is no joke. But the good thing about it is when you're going through, you don't necessarily know and understand, and it seems like the sun will never shine again. But nevertheless, if you persist and you continue to press your way, like the woman with the issue of blood, sooner or later the sun will shine again, and some great things will happen for you. Again, family,
I felt like I was in the twilight zone. That's for sure. But after coming through it, it all makes sense as to why.
Absolutely. And then also I concur with you when it talks about the evolution, because I'm a much better husband today than I've ever been before, and I haven't had a wife for almost 18 years. So you evolve in life, and you live, you learn, and so I still have one more I do left in me. So at that appointed time, according to, if the Lord lets it happen, I'll be much better prepared for it the final time. I've used up 2 of my 3. I got 1 more left, sister. I didn't think I was going to go that many.
I think I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, we're going to take one more station break, and when we come back, we'll wrap things up with Constance Carter. Again, the phone number 909-792-5222. Again, 909-792-5222.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Have you considered interviewing a parent or grandparent to preserve their history but don't know where to start or what questions to ask? If so, help has finally come. Dr. Eric J. Chambers presents Mama, I Want to Know You and Daddy, I Want to Know You. 2 books that will prompt you with over 200 questions that will help you record those sacred stories for the ages. Questions like, who were your grandparents? What were their occupations? Where were they born? Describe your favorite childhood memories. What are your fondest memories at Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and more? What was the proudest day of your life? How do you want to be remembered? What are your favorite scriptures, colors, and food? These books will help you write your family's history. Do it before dementia or time robs you of this opportunity. Order your copies today at whodatpublishinghouse.com. That's WHODAT publishinghouse.com.
What is dedication?
My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much. From the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Things, and I'm loving hearing your story. What's next on your plate?
You said what's next?
Yes, what's next?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. So I built a real estate company. Now my focus is really on Black women. And so what I've done essentially is I am building a cohort of Black women across the country because I'm helping them build their net worth. So my goal is to help 100 Black women in 2023 build their net worth to over $1 million. And that's what was really stemmed behind the idea of that, the whole net worth, the Forbes article of 2017 talking about Black net worth being a zero by the year 2053. And so what I really want to do is help close the wealth gap. And I believe women are the backbone of the community. And if we can help women, the women are going to not only teach their children, they're going to teach the community, and it's going to make a difference and an impact. So I'm actually in the process of interviewing women for this cohort. I'm doing the first cohort now, and I was going to do 10 to 15 women. I think we got 13 women signed up, and so I think we're going to stop it at 15. So I have 2 more spots. I'm doing some interviews this week, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I went from like this concentrated area of helping people in the community, like in Northern California, 'cause that's where we were based, but we had agents all over, to now just wanting to help people across the country. So that's my passion, is helping people. My purpose right now is helping Black women.
That's awesome. And Lori, is this Lori Smalls?
Yes, it is.
Thank you for calling, Lori. Lori is also a realtor here, Constance.
Hey, Lori. Nice to meet you. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
So, Lori, tell us what inspired you to get into real estate, because you see what's possible here as a result of hearing her story.
Absolutely. I would think I kind of will piggyback off of what Ms. Constance says. You know, it's about helping people, and one of the greatest things to do. I actually have a deal right now that was for a VA loan, and it just feels so good, especially nowadays, because a lot of VA vets haven't been getting their offer accepted. But in this market, things are a little bit more easier, and we were able to open escrow on with the VA. Somebody doing the VA loan this past week, our team, and it just feels good all the way around. So
awesome.
Service would be the reason why.
And you know what, Lori? Like, getting into real estate, I always looked at real estate a lot differently than, when you go into the office, they're about sales, like call 100 people, make 10 appointments, close 2 deals. And I never operated my business in that way. I always looked at, how do I help people? How do I serve people? How do I help transform people's lives? And that's how I've been so successful. And so one of the things I tell my agents is, don't look at it as like, why would they use me? You are there as a service. You're there to help somebody. You have something to offer. You're helping change people's lives. And so you are a commodity to the community. And, looking at it more transformation, like, now I don't want to just sell you. I want to help you. I want to help your parents. I want to help your cousins. I want to help your aunties, your uncles. I want to help everybody in your family to be able to change their lives. We do that. It's easy.
Well, that's awesome.
So
Thank you so much, Lori, for calling in. And we only have a couple of minutes left to go here. And something that I forgot to mention was that Constance also has over 35 years of experience in nonprofit strategic planning and campaign management, fundraising, and other...
No, that's not me. That's not me. That's another Constance Carter.
Oh, that's another Constance. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I saw that in one of the bios. So, well, I'm glad I'm going to have to strike that one then.
Yeah, I'm only 47, so
okay.
I've been doing that
well,
when I
that's
was
right. that's right. I failed to do the math on that one. But I did see several others that popped up. But I'm glad that you're the one that is doing all the wonderful things with the real estate. And of course, tell the people how they can connect with you if they like to connect with you. And also, finally, I love this one quote that you said: "It's time for you to grow your money and not blow your money."
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm always looking at ways that we can grow our wealth and grow our money, because there's so many ways that we could actually blow our money. When you look at when tax season comes, what's the first thing you're going to do? A lot of people are going to buy material things, but what can you really do to grow that? And so just looking at those options and perspectives. But how to get in contact with me, my website is ConstanceCarter.com. You can follow me on Instagram. I am Constance Carter. My Facebook handle is I am Constance Carter, and that's where you can locate me. So I would welcome you guys to come over, take a look, DM me, tell me that you heard me on the radio, and I would love to just connect with you. I'll definitely respond.
Okay, thank you so much, dear sister. I appreciate you spending some time with us on a Monday evening here in Southern Cal.
Awesome.
I look forward to seeing you when you do come, so that we can yoke up together, so that we could feature you here and also with your books as well, okay?
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Okay, and I'll be shooting you a text a little bit later to talk more about the other things that we were talking about there. But nevertheless, thank you again. Constance Carter is her name. The name of her real estate company that she is the head of is called Catalyst Real Estate Professionals. Until next time, I'm Eric J. Chambers. This is The Cut Chronicles on KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, an NBC affiliate. Thanks for tuning in.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at KCAA Radio.